Okay, for this project, this Python network project, the part one, this project is just about learning how to use the call command, and that's what we are going to be doing. So, right here, I have my VS Code open here in my terminal. The reason I have my VS Code open here is because I have set up all these, but I don't have nothing inside of them yet, and I have my Flask app running here, which is going to represent the URL that we are going to be sending the using for the call command. And if you're used to using your local machine to work instead of connecting to the sandbox, you can check the description section for the link to the GitHub repository for this Flask app. I've completely set it up for this project, and once you clone it, you can just install Flask, and that should be it. And then you will start the app by running this command, and this should get you started. And if you're not using your local machine, you can just SSH to the provided sandbox. So let's start. So the first one is just to write a bash script that takes a URL and sends a request to that URL and then displays the size of the body of the response. And we are going to be using call, and this is the URL that we're supposed to be sending it to. So for us to do that, we use the call command and the URL, which should be running on port 5000. And if I should send this here, you see that I'm getting a response, and this is the response that I'm getting back. But for us to be able to count and display the number of characters, that's what the task is talking about. All I'm going to do is to pipe this to, I'll pipe the output, and I'm going to use WC, which is word count, and I'm going to, this WC usually counts the line, the word, and the number of character. So if I do this, you see what is happening. One, this is, it only has one line, and it only has one word and 10 characters. But we are supposed to be bringing out only the number of characters. That's why we are going to be using only the -c-c, which is for counting the number of characters. But we have to silence all of this. So what we can do is to use the -s, which stands for silent, and add the L in case there's a redirect. We press enter, so we see that we're retrieving the number of characters. So let's look at the second task, the task one. So the task one states to write a bash script that tells URL send get request and then displays the body of the response. But to display only body of 200 status code response, and we must use call. Okay, so for this one, we are going to use call again, and as we can see here, the route here is /route1, so I'm going to add route 1, and that's all we need to do. So the thing here is that the default HTTP method for call is get, so we don't need to specify it here. Once we just call and silence the, so I have to be doing fast. I don't want this video to be very long, and let's go to the next one. If I may, the way we are going to do this for the tag 0 that we've already done. Where's the command? Yeah, this should be, so what we're going to do is to copy it and go to the file, and then we'll paste it there. But another thing is that this file is supposed to be a bash script, and the bash script is expecting an argument passed to it. And to get this argument for a bash script, you use the $sign followed by 1. That is, if one argument is passed, is going to be 1. If you want to use the second argument, it's going to be 2. So we use 1. It's just the same command. The only difference with what we use on the command line is just the usage of this $1. So this the name of the file is task 0.sh. So if I should say dot slash task 0.sh, and then if I should pass in this to it, you see that we are getting the same thing. So for the tax 1, which should be this, we are going to do the same thing. Copy it, go to the tax 1, paste it in there, and replace this with $1, which is the argument that is passed to it, which is this the URL. So if I should do the same thing here, and say tax 0 route 1 says permission denied, so I have to make it executable. If I try again, we see that we're getting route 2. So let's move on to the tax 2. So the tax 2 is about writing a bash script that is going to send delete request to the URL and then display the body of the response. So this one is about using the delete method. And for us to use delete method, we are going to be using the x. X is used to specify the method that we want to use. So we specify x minus s, and then we specify the method delete, and this should be on the route 3. And we see that we are getting the same response. I am a delete request. And so the same way, we are going to copy this and go to the file. Should be here, should be tax2, and we are going to replace this with the argument from the command line. Always remember to make it executable. And so the next one, which should be the third one. So the third one here is to write a bash script that is going to take in a URL and then display all the HTTP methods the server will accept, and we have to use call. And so for this one, okay, it should be route 4. I'm going to change this to route 4, and it's saying the method is not allowed, but we need to figure out the method that is allowed there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe the output, and I'm going to use grep to get allow, and I'm going to display it. Okay, so the thing is that we need to get this allow, which is something that can be found in the header. And for us to retrieve anything we want from the headers, we have to use the capital I. So the capital I is saying that we only want to get the header. So if I should press enter, we see that we are getting allow, options, and put, but we only want to get something similar like this. We don't want to get allow. So what I'm going to do is to also I'm going to pipe this out, and I'm going to use the cut command if you're familiar with it, and I'm going to say -d, which is I'm saying I want a delimiter to be space. I don't want it to be this comma in between them. And then I'm going to use the -f, which is used to specify the field of words that we want to extract, and followed by 2 minus. And this is like I'm saying that this is for indicating the range, like starting from the second field, because here we have 1, 2, 3. So 2 minus is saying that we want to get from options to anything that comes after it. If I should press enter, we see that we're getting options and put, just similar to this. So let's look at tax 4. And of course, Before that, let's copy this. Also go to, that should be the tax 3, and we paste it in, and we are going to check this. There's no need to add the delete, we can just leave it this way. And it's either you put, so that should, if I say and dot slash, and if I should pass in should be route 4. So we are getting options and put. So for the tax 4, the tax 4 is saying to write a bash script that's going to take in a URL as an argument and send a GET request to the URL, and then display the body of the response. And we have to send the getter a header variable, and this should be the variable, and it should be sent with the value 98. So what we can do is to always say call and minus s, because we are not looking for the output. And then we use L to be sure we are following any redirect. That's what the L is for. And then -h, which is for sending headers. And this header is s school user ID, s school user ID, and then the value is supposed to be 98. So we set the value to 98, and then followed by about 5,000, and should be route 5. So see, we are getting hello. So let's check the tax 5, and for the fifth one, we're to write a bash script that's going to take a URL, and it's going to be sending a post request. So we are going to be sending a post request for this one. And the requirements are we are going to be sending an email, which is this, and we are going to be sending a subject, which is this. And when we send this, we're supposed to be getting this kind of response. So I guess for this one is to for us to know to make how to make a post request. You know that like when you are filling a form on a web browser, you always type in your name or something and then click on submit on the button. So it's just the same thing. We have to learn how to do it with code. So for us to do it, we always have to use, or I always have to use the -s and followed by L to follow any redirect, and -s to specify the method, and then -d because we need to, D is for passing data to the URL, and the data is email, and the value is test@gmail.com, which I'm going to specify here, test@gmail.com. And to pass in the next one in this, okay, there's a typo here. To pass in the next one, we are going to use the the and followed by subject, which is the next one we wish to pass, and the value is I will always be here for PLD, which I know you're not going to be. So I say I will always be there for PLD, and then followed by the URL, and this is for route 6. It says subject invalid, so I guess I've made the typo somewhere. Let me see. I will always be here for PLD, and I wrote there. Okay, let me correct this. Okay, so it says that we are getting the same output. So the same way we are going to copy this, go to the next one, which is tax 5. I hope you got your tax 4 okay. And I'll paste this in here and I'll take this and then I'll replace it with 1. So this is all on the same line, just so you know. And for the next one, which is tax 7, I'm not going to be doing these taxes, but it's going to be in the repo and you can get it via the description section. And so the seventh one is to write a bash script that's going to send a URL passed as an argument and display only the status code of the response, and we are not allowed to use any pipe redirection etc. We are not allowed to use this. We can only use the call command. Okay, so let's see. For us to do this, of course, we're going to use call minus L, and let me see. We need to get the status code. But for us to get the status code, okay, so I'm going to say, and yeah, I think so I'm getting an error code, but we need to get the status code. For us to really get the status code, there's this option that comes with call is W, which is minus W, which is for write. And this, let me clear the screen. The way, if you check the documentation, you can see the way they used it. You can be used to retrieve any information. For instance, the HTTP status code. So we see that we are getting this response, we are getting the status code equally. And but for us to be only getting the status code, what we are going to do is to pipe. We are going to move this to the dev null. We are going to move this to the dev null, and for us to do it, you're going to be using the -, the small letter O, which is used to send the output into any file that we specify. And instead of specifying a file, I'm going to be specifying this dev null, so it won't be saved anywhere. And by doing so, if I should press enter, it's going to save this part to this dev null, and then we're only going to be having the 404, and we see that we're getting the 404. So you can just copy this also to the 7th one, paste it, and replace this with this. And then for the 8th one, the 8th one is to write a bash script that is going to send a JSON post. This is another HTTP method for post, but this time you're going to be sending JSON, and you're going to be displaying the body. Okay, so if you look at the example here, we can see the way it's done. Instead of sending the JSON, we are supposed to be taking 2 arguments. The first one is the route, the URL, and the second one is the JSON file that we want to send to this URL. But this JSON file is going to be saved in a file, and I already have which is my underscore JSON 0, which is here. So we are going to cut this to the bash script, which is going to make the request. So as usual, let me clear the screen. So you're going to be using the call again, followed by -L for silence, -S for silence, and -L to follow any redirection, because we don't really know how the server was built. And we are going to be specifying H, which is a content type. So when we want to send any file that or any content that is of JSON, we have to specify to the URL, to the resource that we are sending a JSON type of um, data to it, so you can know how to handle it. So, and this is how you specify it on the call, and specify it as a header, and which is application slash JSON, and then followed by minus D, which is the data that we want to send to it. So this data is going to be a JSON, or if you're that familiar with JavaScript, it's going to be an object. If it's Python that you're not familiar with, it's going to be a dictionary. And inside there, I'm going to specify a name. It has to have the same structure of a dictionary. And my name is Johnson, if you do not know already. And then followed by the URL at port 5000 and route underscore JSON. So I'm getting 400 baud requests for to decode JSON. Let me see. Okay, the reason for this is because I am already using double quote for the key and the value, so I'm supposed to be using a single quote for here to enclose the curly braces, and if I should press enter, I'm getting a valid JSON. And then if I should pass something that is not a JSON, let's say I pass in something that is a form, and I'm getting this failed to decode error. So same thing, but you get the gist. So I guess I didn't really implement the other part on my server. So, but the main thing here is that when we pass in a valid JSON, which is this, we are getting the expected feedback, expected response, which is valid JSON. So we are going to copy this and add it to a file. But to add it to this file is going to be a bit different from the way it was. We know that for the task we have to cut the file, and but for this file for us to be able to cut the file during this command, we are going to be modifying this. So we are going to use I'm going to use double quotes, and we are going to let the bash script know that this is going to be an argument because the file is going to be coming from the passed from the command line, and we are going to be using the cat command to cat whatever argument that is coming from the command line, and the argument is going to be the second one because we already know that the first argument is always the URL, which so this is it. And if I should save this, come to the command line and change mode plus s tax 8.sh, and then if I should say dot tax 8.sh, and then I'm going to first pass in the URL, which is route underscore JSON, then followed by the name of the file, which is my JSON underscore 0, my JSON underscore 0, and we are getting valid JSON. So let's try this other one that is not a valid JSON, which is my underscore 1, and I'm still getting this response. So, and then the second one, which is also not a valid JSON, if you can see here, my VS Code is pointing out that I should remove this. So if I put it back, it's not a valid JSON. I'm going to be getting the same thing. So let's look at the last one. And for the last one is a bit tricky. So here you're told to write a bash script that is going to make a request to this endpoint, catch me, and it's going to cause the server to respond with a message containing you got me in the body. We can use call, and then we cannot use anything else. So let's do it. So we can use call to silent, and L to follow with direct. Yeah, and we are sending it to this port 5000, and the endpoint is catch me. So we are getting method is not allowed, but we do. Let's see, we're going to use add I here, so we can get the headers, and we are going to use the same thing we did in tax 3, I guess, to be able to retrieve the kind of method that is allowed. And we're going to grep allow. So we see that the method that is allowed is put method. So the next thing we are going to do is to use a put method, and we are going to just send a random. We specify put, and we are going to send a random data to it, because put means you have to update, and we have to update something. And let's say we send it a name. We are not getting anything. Let me remove this I, because we no longer need the header. We are done with getting the header, what we need for the header. So I'm going to remove this I, and then we are getting something else. You are not user ID 98. So from the response we are getting here, it seems like the put methods, they want us to be sending user ID 98, and which is what I am going to be doing. I'm going to replace this data that we are sending with user ID equal to 98. And if I send it, okay, we're getting a better feedback, and we see that we're getting something, this response, you are not coming from school. And if you should think about it, if you look at where it says we are not coming from school, I believe it's asking for the origin, like where you're coming from, where you're originating from. So, and what we are going to do is we are going to pass another one, which is an origin. This origin is of course a header, and we are going to pass it to origin, and we are going to specify this school here, school, and if we should press enter, and then we are getting the response, it got me. So that is it for this task. Please support me by liking on the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you.